What is going on, everybody? I am the FDGURU, bringing to you guys a Thursday NBA video of my DFS podcast. We have a smaller 4-game slate tonight. Looks like a pretty good slate. We definitely have some value, a few questionable guys. We do have Thursday night football as well tonight. Should be a gritty game, low over-under, Steelers-Browns. We have a couple injury guys on the slate. We have Miles Bridges questionable for the Hornets in that first game. We have Mike Connolly for the T-Wolves questionable in that second game. Scotty Barnes might come back tonight for the Raptors. He's questionable. I don't think that would change anything, obviously, because these Raptors are priced for Scotty Barnes to be out, and the Timberwolves aren't exactly a great matchup for them. We have Jordan Clarkson, the big news of the day, doubtful. That should open up some things for the Jazz. Obviously, Wembanyama out again for the Spurs, and Rui Hachimura, another day, another Rui questionable tag in that late game at 10:30 Eastern. I like this slate in general, though, tonight. 4 games is a lot better than 3, in my opinion. I think it really opens up, ways to get different. So we'll get right into things. Like the video, subscribe. As usual, I'm going to be doing one value play for each position using FanDuel salaries. There is a DraftKings value play that's a little bit better than FanDuel tonight that I'll mention. But for point guard, I like Chris Paul. He's only 6,100. We have no Wembanyama, and it's no coincidence that he saw some more usage and got more shots up last game against the Thunder with Wembanyama out. I don't know how the Spurs won that game against the Thunder, but they did without Wembanyama. He played 31 minutes, which was the most minutes he had played since November 4th. He got 10 shots up, 7 3-point attempts. If you've been watching the beginning of this season, Chris Paul hasn't exactly been shooting the ball with Wembanyama out there. He's looking for assists. He's, kind of just the coach out there, but he's actually a player. He facilitates the offense and gets, 11 assists in 4 out of his last 5 games. At 6,100, he needs 30 fantasy points to hit value. He's done that in 4 out of his last 5 games. In that one game he didn't get it, he got 25.5. He's going to have a pretty high floor tonight with Wembanyama off the court. The matchup couldn't be any better. I really like this Jazz and Spurs game. 223.5 over-under. Spurs are 3-point favorites. I expect this game to be close. You have some other nice value plays on the Spurs without Wembanyama. You got guys like Castle. The rookies looked good for them. Champagnie. Zach Collins is kind of an appropriate price now. And then even, Harrison Barnes on a 4-game slate could be a GPP guy. He looked really good. Was that last night? 2 games ago? 32 minutes, 35 fantasy points. He's very untrustworthy. But at that price, with no Wembanyama, he could pay it off in a big way. I don't know if I'll be getting to Barnes. I think guys like Chris Paul, obviously, Castle, and Champagnie are better plays in my opinion. Shooting guard, we're going to go to a guy that's pretty untrustworthy, but he looks good tonight. A lot of the times, we don't know if he's going to play 22, 26, 32 minutes. Colin Sexton. With Jordan Clarkson out, that's just going to really solidify Sexton and Keontae George's minutes. And as I was just describing with the Spurs and Chris Paul, this game looks really, really good from a fantasy standpoint. He needs 27 fantasy points to hit value. He's projected just over 30 tonight. Looked good against the Lakers two nights ago. 32 minutes, 26 fantasy points. I just think the floor is a little bit higher on him. I don't see how he doesn't play 30 minutes in a game without Jordan Clarkson. Very similar price with Keontae George. He's $100 cheaper. It's really the flip of a coin. I do like Sexton just a little bit more than George. But both guys are going to be in play tonight with Jordan Clarkson out. Jordan Clarkson plays 25 to 30 minutes a game. That's a lot of extra minutes for these guards to soak up. So if Sexton were to play 36 minutes tonight, I would not be surprised at all. He can play point guard and shooting guard. He had a time last year, if you guys remember, if you played NBA DFS, where he was like $7K, $7,500. He was cooking. He hasn't been as good this year. But again, I really like this spot. it has to be a really good spot for me to be liking Colin Sexton because he's burnt me a couple of times this year and he hasn't looked good. But a matchup against the Spurs without Jordan Clarkson out there is a good spot for Sexton. Small forward, my favorite spend up on the slate, it's Anthony Edwards, 8,700. He shouldn't be sub 9K against the Raptors defense. It's only a 7-point spread, I'm assuming because they're on the road. We do have Mike Conley questionable. We do have Dante DiVincenzo questionable. I don't think either really affect Anthony Edwards. Looks like the best spend up on this slate, and it's not really close. LeBron and AD, they've been good, but they draw one of the worst matchups against the Magic. The Magic obviously plays slower. It's only a 216 over-under. You could look their way, but I think this matchup against the Raptors looks really good for Anthony Edwards. He's been consistent as anyone this year. Even on his bad games, he's represented a floor of high 30s, which won't burn you. He needs 43 fantasy points to hit value. We all know he has 50 to 60 point upside, so Anthony Edwards looks really good. Very easy to roster tonight. He can play shooting guard and small forward on FanDuel. It's going to be really hard to get away from these Timberwolves against the Raptors, and who knows what could possibly open up if Mike Conley is out. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that news. That game locks at 7:30, which is a half hour after lock. Hopefully we can get that news beforehand. But nonetheless, Anthony Edwards looks really good at 8,700. Power forward, we're going to get cheaper here. With Walker Kessler remaining out, we're going to get back to this Spurs and Jazz game. It's my favorite game on the slate. And Kyle Filipowski, he's looked good. And I don't see why we wouldn't pick him here tonight. He's been starting. He's been playing around 21 to, 29 minutes. Anywhere from in there. 23 to 29 minutes. And at 4,700, he really just needs 22 or 23 fantasy points. And he's been right around that. The entire time that Kessler's been out, he's been looking pretty good. Again, a matchup against the Spurs with no Wembanyama looks really good to me. He could end up playing up towards 30 minutes in a competitive game if he's playing well. Him and John Collins will continue to run the front court. Obviously, they do have Lauri Markkanen, and they kind of stagger him. They stagger all three of the guys because they are all like 7 feet. But I don't even know if Filipowski's 7 feet. I'm assuming he's pretty damn tall, though. 4,700 looks really good on him, though. I just hit his over on the Prize Picks site, 21.5 fantasy score. A lot of things are projecting him out for like 24, 25 fantasy points, so that looks like a good value play over there. Posted that in my Discord not too long ago. I like him as a value play at sub 5K. And then for center, we're going to Rudy Gobert. Anytime you're going to get a matchup against the Raptors at sub 7K for Gobert, he's going to look good. Again, we only have a 4-game slate tonight, so there's not a ton of options. You could spend up with AD, as I said, but there's not a ton of cheap value tonight, and I like Anthony Edwards more. Jakob Poeltl's been a beast. He's 8K, though. His upside's good. He'll probably be low-owned in a matchup against the Timberwolves. A really tough matchup. He's been tough. But I like Gobert at sub 7K. He's projected out for 34 fantasy points. He needs 33 to hit value. We all know his upside. He could easily get into the 40s. Been playing really big minutes as of late, which is nice to see. 32 to 40 minutes over the last 5 games. And he can be a fantasy point per minute kind of guy, especially in a road matchup against the Raptors, where chances are better than not that this game stays a little bit competitive at that 7-point spread. So I like Gobert at this price at center. That'll do it for this video, guys. Let's have a nice night. We swept all lineups last night, all main lineups, after hours lineup off my dub club. So let's try to do that again tonight, and let's crush the Thursday night football game as well. Give this video a like. Until next time, I am the FD Guru. Peace.